Welcome to our, oh, one second. Welcome to our brainstorming session. We're going to talk about value prop of Haley. So, one thing that I get a lot when I'm talking to possible investors is what's the value prop and also what problem are you trying to solve? And when I answer that question, I stumble because I say, well, we're kind of like ChatGPT. We solve all the stuff that ChatGPT solves, but that's always a unsatisfactory answer. So that's why we come together here to come and figure out like what like maybe the top three things that we want to hammer on and say we solve this, this, and this, rather than we solve unlimited problems. So maybe we could do. Do you want to add anything to that, Anme?
I think that once we can kind of narrow down Haley's value and what makes Haley unique, that will really help us in terms of promoting not only our brand but our product, especially when it comes to investors and things like that. So hopefully this brainstorming session can kind of get there. I would love to hear some different ideas about things that we could possibly focus on or the possible direction we can take Haley. So, what are some of the problems that people have and how can Haley help solve those problems?
Yeah, I think we're looking at it from like we have a large hammer and we're looking for nails and everything looks like a nail. So why don't we talk about what Haley can do today? So number one thing that people use it for is answering questions pre circa 2021, right? You have a question, Haley will have an answer. Might not be the right answer in terms of accuracy because we're limited by this, the ability of our provider, what they're providing us in terms of answers. But it'll give you an answer, or she'll give you an answer. We also do summaries. So if you're in a chat thread, you can say, give me the summary of this thread, and Haley will gladly give you a summary of the thread. So you don't have to read the whole thing, the wall of text, and you skip that whole part. Other stuff, I think Chris has always pointed out like the uniqueness of Haley is that it's inside of Slack, which is a collaborative tool, and then you have AI. If you're doing ChatGPT, you're doing it by yourself. If you're doing it with Haley in Slack, you're doing collaborative. So you can have multiple people interacting with Haley to come to a like masterminding solutions, masterminding angles, and getting information where it's multiple people working in it together because Haley keeps context. Is there anything that I'm missing there, Fede, in terms of what Haley can do today?
No, I think that's like our main advantage right now is the collaboration between a team that you can talk with Haley in a thread. Yeah.
Gotcha. So if that's what we solve today, how do we pose that as a problem? Like we have the solution, but how do we say like, okay, the problem we're solving is in this particular industry. This is a rampant problem, and these three solutions solve that problem.
For me, specifically, I use Haley to create the itineraries for the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm in Slack, I'm in the Slack workspace. All I have to do is add Haley, ask for the itinerary, enter the needed information, and she'll just spit it out for me, and I do modifications. So I don't know. I mean, you could say the problem there is maybe it's convenience if you're already within Slack. So
maybe context switching.
Yeah,
not having to leave Slack because you can go into ChatGPT or Bard or whatever tools out there that does the same sort of thing.
Yeah, not having to
leave. We're saying one single pane of glass that you stay in to work from.
Right, and you get those documents right away or within 1 or 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. no need to log in. So one thing I do have to do all the time when I log into ChatGPT is like log in, right?
Right.
So I have to do that in Slack.
Yeah, lately, I don't know for you, but lately it's asking me for login like every 10 minutes. I don't know why.
Yeah, so speed, convenience, but I still feel like we need a killer feature. I thought it would have been, and something that's still on the roadmap is generating books on demand or whole articles. I did talk to a gentleman that has a startup in Santa Barbara that can take a Excel sheet and turn it into different types of graphs. Like it'll tell you like this is the best graphs that you should be able to generate from the data that you gave me. And I'll follow up with him about getting a demo. We could even partner with him and try to plug that into Haley.
Yeah, the thing with I think with that kind of tools is that we are not taking advantage of Slack. I mean, we could build that tool outside of Slack on a regular web app, and it would be probably be better because we would have like more reach, or we will reach more people. So if we are Slack, we should take advantage of Slack and I don't know, Slack messages, users, that kind of things.
Gotcha. So you're saying more integrated with the existing features of Slack.
Right.
If so, kind of hypothetically, if I was to like hook Haley up to the like Twilio, I think, for some bulk messaging or whatever, but I wanted maybe to use Haley's language, right? Is that? It sounds like kind of like what you would say, Fede. Like it's like it's not gonna be a Slack thing at that point. It would be like maybe a web app.
Well, email and text message is something we want to do. You tell Haley to do something and then send an email. Eventually, we wanted to also do like calendars, right? Book an appointment, book a meeting, whatever. Have it. You just tell Haley, and then Haley figures it out. We're not there yet.
I think one of the best features we can have is like send like files to Haley, and I don't know, company files, I don't know, HR files. If Haley has that information, anyone could go and say, "Hey, what I need to do, I don't know, to take vacations or that kind of things." She will search the files and answer you with specific things for your organization.
Yeah, that notion of like next level search, like beyond Elastic. So Elastic is a piece of software that you can go and index different documents and then do search on them. It's very rudimentary. There's no intelligence behind it. But if you were able to index the files into Haley, you could do all sorts of communication about the documents. So if you index your source code, you can ask about the code, and you can have the best developer representative or even a customer rep that knows the software really well. If you were to index your website, they can ask about the website and learn about it easily without having to actually look at the website. If you indexed the HR documents or your financial documents or whatever, right? You have like this super duper search. And so maybe that's something that we should talk about is after we get the app submission out there or submitted, what's the thing that we feel like we should work on that's going to go and generate revenue? Also, that I can go to investors and be like, we're solving this problem. We need seed or A round funding.
So the potential of indexing documents like you were talking about, is that saving people time or is it saving people work? Like what's the problem that it's solving?
Saving time, and you're also getting accurate information based off your documents. Because right now, if I said to you, go read the docs, you would say, take a long walk on a short pier, Raj. I'm not reading all your docs. Your docs are ridiculously long, right? Now,
I would command F and then search for keywords.
If the keywords weren't there because they're using it's not in this word, you're not able to find it.
Okay.
Here you can have a conversation about it, right? And it would tell you like everything that it knows about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you want it to be able to kind of summarize and give some background information.
Yeah, the chat. Well, it's really Q&A, right? You ask questions, and it has the information about it, which is what Fede was saying.
Okay.
If we had the HR docs, and I cared about the policy for leave, right? Like I can easily question it rather than having me to scourge through all the docs, because not all docs you can do Control F. They're like multi-web pages, right? You have to click through and find where it's at. Or what if it was all? We walked through the entire docs, put it into Haley.
Well, wouldn't we be able to? Okay, so like we're setting up the live chat and hooking up Haley to talk. What if a company wants a live chat, but they don't want just set responses, and you kind of configure, like, do basically what you were saying in order to have like Haley as a customer service rep. So like they can have this live chat available 24/7, and like if something goes wrong, then they'll get alerted. Like if Haley, like they can have it in Slack like they would possibly anyway for their website and have somebody chatting, but do it like we were, but actually have some, information about that company, frequently asked questions, instead of just the basic set, like the widget would have the basic triggers,
Yeah, I can also picture when I go and talk to investors, I put them in the demo room and I say, ask about UpMortem. It's tied into our Google Drive. All the stuff is pulled into to Haley, and Haley can answer all your investor questions.
It can do that now?
No, it can't. We don't have the
Gotcha.
we don't have the so-called plugin, right? We don't plug into that backend.
Got it. Yeah.
Which me and Fede were talking about that earlier, which is they have it for the web portal, the web page for ChatGPT, but they might not have it for the API. Now, if the API starts getting the ability to plugins, now you're going to be able to plug into Google Drive and be able to get that information.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how that going to work with logins, because I guess that if you use a plugin, you will need to log in that service. I don't know, for example, Gmail or Google. If you use some kind of plugin, you will need to log in also to. I don't know if it's going to be through the API.
Yeah. So let's recap. We have a few things that Haley can do well today. Those are may or may not, have people want to try it out. Even if it's, we want to start out with it being free, try it out, summarize your threads, ask questions, have them answered, and then collaborate with your fellow peers on Slack. Those are the three things. Okay. And then from there, we need to figure out probably a different meeting that we need to have is, and I want to get Chris involved also. He's going to be freeing up soon. His tax season is busy, so he's been busy till April 15th, which is not too far away from now. To figure out, like, all right, where's the next big bet that we want to place? And we want to do it very inspired, right? We want to talk to some people, get people to say, yeah, I would pay for that. In fact, I'll do a letter of intent before we go implementing it.
Sounds good.
All right. Anything else, Anwei?
I don't think so. That helps clarify things. And yeah, this was really helpful.
Okay, fantastic. And tune into our podcast later, where we're going to have Daniel showing up. And Mel, can you please point at the blowing up? Mel, can you point at the subscribe button? I'm joking, of course, but
I can do it.
Yeah, there. See where if you follow Fede's arm, yeah.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean, you can also do it.
All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.